Hello and welcome to Been There, Seen That, where we bring to you tips, tricks, and secrets from people who have actually been there and seen that around the world. Hi, I'm Ayushi, and today I have with me
Ambika. Hi. I'm a mindfulness-based counselor, and when I travel, we mostly travel as a family. My kids are 15 and 18.
Oh, lovely. So, where did you travel most recently that was very close to your heart?
So the last summer vacation, we went to Italy, which was our second time to Italy because we absolutely love the food,
Fair
and
enough.
it's probably the most easygoing, beautiful country that I have been to. So we from Bombay we landed in Rome. Again, second time in Rome, and so there is this area in Rome called Trastevere, which is the old city. So in all of these European cities, there's mostly the new city and the old city.
Correct.
And the new city will have the old structures, the old houses, the old flea markets. You know, the night flea markets that happen, they usually happen in the old part of the city. So, you know, somehow we avoid going to the real touristy places like the Colosseum and all of that. And I really like wandering the little alleys and the market areas, the old market areas and the restaurants, and they're really beautiful during the daytime and the nighttime. They're like,
So when it comes to restaurants, like we know that Italy is super famous for its food. Everyone loves the pastas there and the wine and the gelato. However, have you come across any tourist traps or scams in restaurants that was a learning lesson for you?
yeah, I had to check with my son, and he told me that, you know, there'll be people who stand on the road with their menus. And they'll tell you, oh, this food is really nice, and why don't you come inside this restaurant? So those are tourist traps. So try avoiding the restaurants that are advertised like that on the street. And another thing that we figured was that, you know, the restaurants that are really authentic, the people will not speak English there. And so they will be speaking Italian, and it may be hard to communicate, but you will find more authentic food, Italian food, in those restaurants.
Okay, so when it comes to communicating in a country where the first language is not English, I'm assuming that it would be slightly difficult. So did you face any difficulties or how was it?
Actually, didn't face any difficulty in Italy at all. You know, even if someone does not understand English, you will find a way to communicate. All the menus will have the Italian name and the English description below it. I don't think I went to any restaurant which didn't have the English description. And, you know, like they do in France, where they actually look down upon you if you don't know French, in Italy they don't do that. So they will try and accommodate and figure out what you're trying to say. So no Google Translate is needed in Italy if you know your English.
That's okay. That's great to know. Coming to apps, any other apps that you found useful while you were traveling through Italy?
Yeah. So, you know, when you're in a big city and you want to travel out by train, you will have to book the tickets right then. You won't be booking it from India. So there is an app called Tren Italia, Tren Italia. That's really helpful for booking tickets and checking the status of trains. And there is no Uber in Rome, at least. The apps that we used was called IT Taxi and Free Now. And every city would have its own local taxi app, which you'll have to ask and figure out or check on the internet. That you know what is the local taxi app there.
Okay, that's super helpful. Then that makes at least commute very easy, and I'm hoping less expensive as well.
And taxis are not very, very expensive.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great because Europe is known for its infamous expensive public transport. Cool. So now coming to your favorite destinations, what is something that, okay, we know the Colosseum, we know the Amalfi Coast, but we know Venice, Florence, and the Renaissance. But apart from that, was there any hidden gem that you discovered?
Yeah. So in the first trip to Italy, we went to the Amalfi Coast. We went to Positano, Capri. And when I went there for the first time, of course, it was breathtaking and it was really beautiful. You know, they have these really high cliffs and mountains right next to the ocean. and little houses standing out. But I realize now that, so this time we went to Cinque Terre. So Cinque means five. So there are these 5 seaside villages, which are really, really beautiful. And they're really small. They're not big places at all. But they are very developed for the tourist. So there will be hotels there, there will be restaurants there, there will be plenty of Airbnbs around. And these 5 villages are perhaps the most beautiful seaside villages that you will ever see. And some of them will have walkways that, go along the mountainside. And one side will be the sea and one side will be the mountain. You can just keep walking on it. And the most beautiful sunsets. I don't know, all those Italian postcards, if you've seen, the really colorful buildings on the cliffside.
Yes.
They are there.
Wow, Cinque Terre. That is, I don't think that's something that a lot of people know about. How would you compare that with Amalfi Coast in terms of the experiences, in terms of the costs?
Yeah, so I think Amalfi Coast, especially Capri and Positano, they're very expensive places. I think they're very geared up for the European rich tourist. Especially Capri. You'll see, these films in Capri where these super rich people are partying and all that. They are beautiful and there's a lot of nice stuff there in Amalfi. But there was something very quaint about Cinque Terre. And each of these 5 villages were really beautiful. And I don't think I've had better Italian food anywhere in Italy apart, like I did in these 5 places. So one of my favorite seaside village was Manuralo. And they're very easy to reach. There's a train line that connects all these 5 villages. And I remember we had gone to a bar there and then we went there again and they used to play music each evening and they would talk to all the guests and it almost felt like being back here in Bandra, where everybody talks to everyone. So yeah.
That's lovely. Do you remember what bar it was?
I'm sorry, I'll have to look that up.
Okay, cool. We will update it maybe in the caption.
Small. Manuralo is so small that there is only one bar there. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. We'll find it out and we'll put it in the caption once we find the bar.
Music in the evening, yeah.
Okay, that's super lovely. How, if someone has to go to Cinque Terre, how does one reach there?
I think we took a train to La Spezia from Rome. And from La Spezia, you take another short train to Rio Maggiore, where we stayed. We had an Airbnb and we stayed there. And it's very interesting, so they're like tall mountains. And instead of stairs, they make lifts on the mountain. So we went up the lift and then we, reached our Airbnb and then we had to climb down the lift.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Never seen them before, yeah.
That's really nice. Okay, and then that was your mainstay, and then you were just moving around the villages.
Just go to one village every day.
How much time would you recommend spending there?
If I was traveling alone, I would spend 10 days in Cinque Terre.
Okay. And the water was very swimming friendly. Were there any water activities that you would recommend?
You can take ferries.
Okay.
But the water is not very warm. Water is cold, especially for Indians.
Okay.
The Europeans don't mind it, but you will not be able to swim in it.
Okay, interesting.
It's colder water.
I see. So any water activities that any people can enjoy there?
I guess the only activity I remember doing is walking along the ocean for really long periods of time.
But it was very peaceful and meditative.
Yeah.
Oh. So we know that Italy is a dream, obviously, a bit out of reach for the common Indian. But if you had to recommend something, say, closer to home, probably in Asia or Southeast Asia, is there any name that rings a bell?
Yeah, when you come to beaches, yes. So we went to Krabi in Thailand sometime back. And by the way, you can hire scooters there. And my son didn't even have a license. And it's okay to be doing that.
Would not recommend out of safety concerns, but if you feel confident enough, yes, please do this.
Now he has. There was this beach near Krabi. You have to take the scooter for about 25 minutes from the main city center. and it's called Nofrat Thara.
Okay.
And I remember it so well because one, it has the most beautiful sunsets. I mean, the sky would go red in the evenings. And there's a part of the beach where the sea is not very choppy, and it's literally like a swimming pool. And I remember floating in the warm water there on the beach during sunset. So imagine having red skies over you, warm water under you, and floating there. So yeah, that was an unforgettable experience in Krabi, Thailand.
Interesting. And would you say that it came close to your Italian sunset experience?
I wouldn't even compare the two. So I can't get into the ocean in Italy. It's too cold for me.
Okay.
But in Thailand, of course, you can get into the ocean. So yeah.
Lovely. That's a great tip for anybody looking to chase sunsets this summer. Please visit Krabi, Thailand. So, say for someone who wants to travel to Cinque Terre, how much time duration should one keep in mind? How long would it take to go from Rome to Cinque Terre?
Rome to La Spezia was 2.5 hours. It wasn't a very long train. And something very interesting happened to me when I was traveling with my family. I went out of the train and I told my son to stand at the gate so that he can open the gate for me. They're automated gates there. And so I pressed the button, I got out the gate, I just needed some fresh air. And I must have stayed out for like 3 minutes or something. And my son was standing inside and trying to open the gate again with the button, and he couldn't open it. And I saw his face going white at that time and, worried that, oh gosh, mom can't come back in. So for 5 minutes, I was scared that I missed my train. In a foreign country, I missed a train. But thankfully, I had my little purse with me. I had my credit cards with me. And I just went and checked when is the next train to La Spezia. And I think I waited for 2 or 3 hours there, and I went to a bar, I had a beer, I had a meal. But the interesting thing is, not for a moment after those 5 minutes did I feel scared being there. And I think that's the good thing about these countries, that they feel very safe. And I think if you have your money and your identification with you, it doesn't matter. So I think one thing you should always have perhaps hidden somewhere in a pocket is one credit card with you. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is Italy more credit card friendly or cash friendly?
I don't think I used cash anywhere this time. So even my Indian credit cards, debit cards, they both worked.
Okay, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Good to know that, because a lot of European countries are cash friendly even now. So that's good information.
There are no GPay like apps there.
Okay, so it's all plastic money.
Yeah. But
Got it.
everybody would have a card machine.
Okay. To wrap it all up, if I had to ask you 5 non-negotiables, like holy grail tips that you would like to give someone who is planning a trip to Italy, what would those 5 things be?
Okay. So I think the first thing that comes to me is that B&Bs are always prettier, nicer, they feel like home. And if you're more than 2 people, you'll have to take more than 1 hotel room, right? So it's easier to stay together in a B&B, and you can cook your own breakfast there, you can cook your own meals if you want, if you don't want to spend so much outside every day. So yeah, Airbnbs are a better option. Because you have to walk so much in Italy, it's always better to either wear flats or wear shoes. Do not wear heels and fancy shoes there. They just will not work. I guess the other thing would be that, carry some cash with you, and don't carry your passport outside, carry a photocopy of your passport so that the passport is safe in your hotel room or your Airbnb, but you have some ID with you if you need it. And like my train incident, if you get lost, even if you get out of the train for 2 minutes, carry your purse with you or your money bag with you. Yeah. And you know how people are crazy about gelato in Italy? I think the first time I went, I enjoyed it. This time I don't remember buying it even once because it's too sweet. It's almost nauseatingly sweet. And they serve you this large dollop of gelato in every shop. You have to throw it away after a bit. You'll have like 1/3 of it, and you'll put it on the corner of the street somewhere because you can't finish it. And there's some amazing desserts there. You can have tiramisu in a cafe, you can have panna cotta, and you can explore other desserts. So the last thing I would suggest is, in other countries in Europe like Norway and Switzerland, you will need to have a car with you. I mean, if you can afford it, it's always better to rent a car there. But in Italy, in Rome, you cannot drive a car in the main city. Tourists are not allowed to drive cars in Rome. So you don't need a car there. You'll have to walk it or take a taxi. And in Cinque Terre, we never needed a car because the train is very well connected to the 5 seaside villages. And yeah, I guess that's it.
So most cities in Italy are walkable, which is also why you recommended shows. And
I think all cities in Europe are very walkable.
correct.
You will not get tired. The weather is not so hot that you'll be sweating and all that.
So basically renting a car in Italy, except for I think Tuscany, is a very bad idea.
Thank you for reminding me, because Tuscany you must rent a car. There's beautiful areas to drive through.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the train system there is not as well connected as other parts.
I
If I remember
see.
correctly.
So except for Tuscany, renting a car is going to be a waste of money. Don't do that. Take the taxi apps that we spoke about and the trains.
Yeah. Trains are your best deal. Yeah, your best bet actually.
Understood. Thank you so much. This was a really insightful and informative conversation. Thank you for joining us, and I wish you all the best for your next trip.